Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero Strike Defender of the Fatherland. Off here to 2 versus 2 on Lierneux. Between these, we've got VonClausewitz and Doggy farming up here the 1 and 16th Panzer Division Vinhund. Launching a surprise assault during the opening days of the Battle of the Ardennes here versus Captain Speirs and IlCapitano on the western side. Forming up the 91st Infantry Division, surprised here by the Kratz certain attack. We got immediate choice of RAF coming for Captain Speirs with triple infantry, the heavy cavalry, infantry choice for IlCapitano versus then Spec Ops, Luftwaffe, fortifications, assault support, Jägerarme and German mechanized there for the Germans with mostly infantry, well for Doggy, Clausewitz there relying machine guns and Panzerfaust bulletins. Also worth noting here, IlCapitano is the one with double bulletins for the EC8s, but he doesn't actually have access to them. Feels a bit. We got intimidated rush into the center by both Captain Speirs and IlCapitano banging in the battlefield ahead of Dan with Bart 1 and the like. So we can see here though, Doggy's intimidating the same rushing Sturm Pioneers assault rifles firing through the windows, and wherever cracks they can find, there might be some Americans appearing through. In the south, we can see the VonClausewitz men moving through the east, moving up Grenadiers to support Doggy in the center, who's sending out the remaining troops northwards for the fatherland. Arriving around here to the scene for IlCapitano, and Captain Speirs is sneaking through the south here with the second round squad here, putting more pressure on Doggy and VonClausewitz in the center, as they find themselves being swamped here by the sheer presence of American troops. The Sturm Pioneers probably should retreat soon. They're already low in health, they are depleting, and they just like to have much more of an impact here. In this regard, IlCapitano and Captain Speirs were actually able to stall here the Sturm Pioneers and the Germans quite well. In the centre, of course, they're going to sweep the rest of the map here. So we'll have to see how this is going to work out long term. We got more rifle, more rations for Captain Speirs, obviously with Rifle Company, what's more flamethrowers. IlCapitano going for an early mortar to that way blast his way through the goddamn crowds. MD42 sneaking through in the south here. You can see Captain Speirs beginning to divert more attention to the south there as IlCapitano's more focused center, but also switching northwards here. So seems like they feel like they got the center and can hold off the Germans there, and that's beginning to focus on the rest of the map here, where the Germans are suddenly going for the northern field point there. Doggy leading the way for Deutschland in that area, anyways. More rifle for IlCapitano, Captain Speirs, nothing further there as of yet. Bit of skirmish in the south here, right from there, shooting an MD42, which can't quite hit them. Like, they can see one of the gunners, the supporting crew members on the MD42. The MD42 itself cannot shoot back. Pioneers versus Rearsuns. Rearsuns might have a small chance depending how slow the Pioneers are getting up close. In the centre there, we got full trying to flank about here. Captain Speirs' position, mortar hammering away there for America, Freedom, Democracy. There you go, going for the MD42, catching it as it moves about there. Bit unfortunate for Clausewitz, that's going to see a retreat there. We're also taking heavy damage here from something and ultimately pushed back. I'm not entirely sure what did the damage. In the south, Pioneers do beat the Rearsuns, they're rather close here. Going into those riflemen here. And up north, you can see there, IlCapitano is pushing away Doggy from the field point. You can see on the min-map there's more troops moving in here. Sturm Pioneers depleted, and the full coming in. The riflemen themselves also quite low in health, winning the engagement, defending the field point. We got more riflemen in, but he needs to be careful he doesn't just feed in troops, one by one to Doggy here, as that could very well just for benefiting Doggy. Like you can see there, IlCapitano pulls back, so he's going to form up for a larger assault there. That's definitely the right decision. Then we got the first flamethrower team up here for Captain Speirs, who's gone for the third rifle squad. For the Germans, we got to take up there for both VonClausewitz and Doggy, who's going to set up battle group headquarters. Note the positioning means he's going to be using the medics to support both him and VonClausewitz. Good teamwork there. We got a captain on the way there for Captain Speirs, and we got the lieutenant for IlCapitano, basically dividing up the roles there. In the south, VonClausewitz advances with the Grenadiers. In the centre, riflemen and Rearsuns under Speirs' command advance to hunt down them crowds. But we got an infantry covering here the eastern side of the centre village here, or town, which is going to make it hard for Captain Speirs to get close without a smoke screen from a mortar or something else. Up north here, riflemen pushing back, Doggy's forces are extended and push to their very limits. They ultimately break in the face of the American onslaught. In the south here, Captain Speirs launching a counter-attack with Rearsuns riflemen, mortar firing down as well there. Thumping out a few Grenadiers there. Pushing up free as well. Pioneers pushing back here. And we could see another gun. Oh dear, it got caught up and stuck down the cheap path. This is going to be wiped there for VonClausewitz. Rather rough. Then we get a grenade off though. Almost taking out the rifle and gets a wipe there. So nice counter hit there from VonClausewitz. So we got more troops moving in. But they probably shouldn't be able to get the wipe there on the Grenadiers. Up north there, folks, contact community and Capitano's lines are not quite there to fully support each other. Rifle squad need to retreat in the northern field point there with the echelons. Captain there is out for Speirs. We got more rifle on the way to replace one's lost. An ambulance there for IlCapitano. North here, folks, pushing back the rifle in the south. Americans sweeping through and seizing both munitions points. Attempting to rifle there could possibly try and extend the frontage a bit further here. As for IlCapitano, he needs, I think, to tighten his lines a bit here to better be able to resist Doggy's assaults. We got some assault rifles up there for Doggy. Both German players but have yet to commit to any docks. You can see there VonClausewitz providing support here for Doggy's beleaguered Fultz Grenadiers. So we got 9 infantry fort here, providing some more suppressive firepower that way, making it harder for come to use his infantry. Very good work. Ambulance out. Down here, nothing further there for Speirs. We're swinging for the south again. Most, in fact, they got control of both fuel points now and almost both munitions point. MB42 remains a problem there for Captain Speirs. IlCapitano's more to be able to help there. You could also just smoke it, and we got a half one there for Clausewitz, most likely flamethrowers. We're kidding there for Doggy as his infantry steadily advances on the northern fuel point. Right, Jürgen, make sure to check around for any Americans. They do like to hide, and they do like their guns. Got the MD-35 up there, back here healing, reinforcement theoretically happening. Ambulance though seems to move forward, so they start with more fort retreat points to assist both players that way. Interesting. That does mean that he can actually use to support himself northwards and then has to take the path there, then move northwards. So it might be, of course, they're just going to focus on the south centre, but it does mean they're going to be less efficient up north, which of course means the Germans will maybe try to play around and flank through the north. So that has some dangerous implications here with the way he's setting up the ambulance. I mean, again, there's some good to it, but there's also some negatives. Meanwhile, machine gun push back. Captain Speirs pushing through it. He's sent to east now. Might try and flank behind the Germans this week. That could be very interesting. Certainly put some pressure there. But we've got the flamethrower take out in a few moments. And the Americans are currently lacking any serious counters to it. So that's going to be pretty great there for VonClausewitz. Unless he does something really silly with it. It should make things a bit unpleasant there for the Americans. And make it hard for them to defend. MD-34 there. Laying down some suppressive fire. Grenadiers repulsed. In the south, VonClausewitz advances for Germany. And we got the flamethrower engaging the rifle, burning away with hot, hot flames. My God, these fires, they burn. Yeah, that's what they do, Carl. I don't suppose you could be a bit more supportive of my burns. Nah. Anyways, flamethrower moving through there, rifle moving up, but without anti-tank rifle grenades, they're pretty much just marshmallows for the bonfire. Like, there's nothing they can do there. One squad here's going to tank rifle. They might be able to get close with it, but this is definite deficit of anti-vehicle equipment there for the Americans right now, which the 116th Panzer Division taking advantage of. Lots of flamethrowers, but that's not going to stop a flamethrower half tank. Comparatively, that can stop the flamethrower infantry. We've got a fuel catch up over for Captain Speirs. Does of course be a great support for both of them, and also offset any sort of map control issues long term, but always allow them to put your head there. Keep up pressure in the south. We got there we go. Double flamethrowers pushing back the Grenadiers. Northwards again there. We can see IlCapitano is preparing for something there, but all seems a bit more passive at the moment, at least for a brief while. Panzer Grenadier arriving here for VonClausewitz. Hardened men are the 116th Panzer Division. Veterans of many engagements. Grenadiers versus the riflemen inside the house. Flamethrower taking up to flush out the Yankees. Captain Speirs got 90 tank weapons. He could plan a steward here. Of course, there's the theoretical option. He might be trying to rush out in EC as soon as possible. But that does mean the flamethrower tech could go uncontested for some time. IlCapitano has got a 5th caliber out, but nothing else. No bazookas. Nothing in reality that could sort of threaten the flamethrower half tech. So it's a bit of a risky play they're committing, because a well-handled flamethrower tech with no serious counters to it can do a lot of damage very fast. On the other hand, it can also be countered. There we go. We got one bazooka up for Captain Speirs, but there you go. Bazooka's up there for aviation as well. Much better, much better. But there you go. Trying to get into the house. Panzers instead are waiting. You were expecting an empty house, but it was me, Dieter, und meine Panzergrenadiere. Rather than there, push back in the south. Grenadiers being hit. Resistance repulsed with numerous losses. Lots of back and forth there. Goes IlCapitano sneaking up northwards, taking a much longer path, but also safer and hidden. Heading the fuel point that way. Very good move. That's going to force Doggy to have to counter. He's gone for Luftwaffe. He's got 5. We even got a flag emplacement up. My God. Carving the victory point and the nearby strategic point. Nice. A flag emplacement in the 2 versus 2. Gott im Himmel. They're going to meet retreat here from IlCapitano side, and this is not engaging worth fighting due to the presence of the MD-34. Very good, I think, decision there by IlCapitano. Flamethrower after there, waiting repairs, being dinged up a bit there. No further take up there for the Germans. As for the Americans, Speirs is in fact rushing here for the EC8s. And we see IlCapitano also trying to push out from medium arm as fast as possible, which is definitely not a bad idea. If they can sort of successfully to pull it off, they can do a lot of damage to the Germans. Modifier there, close to landing on the Grenadiers. Up north here, we got rifle push back the MG-34. North seems a bit more vulnerable now for a push from IlCapitano, being supported there by Captain Speirs. But Captain Speirs is diverting a lot of attention to the south here, splitting up his force, making it easy there for the Germans to counter-attack if not careful. Second fuel cache up here for the Allies. Second fuel cache up. I mean, they're losing the centre fuel point here, so, I mean, with this sort of stuff, the Germans are always pulling ahead in that regard, so getting fuel cache to ensure they don't fall too far behind, I think, is a really good idea. Plus, if they then get the fuel points back, of course, they then get more fuel than the Germans. So, a lot of back and forth here, a lot of back and forth in terms of resources. But the Allies clearly got a long-term plan in mind, which is good. I think they should need to try and hit north a bit more here. VonClausewitz still remains without a doctrine here. He remains without a doctrine. We're roughly 10 minutes of the game. Point they're secured. Of North Germans advancing as Sturmpioniere Fallschirmjägers. There we go, now they're getting more fuel than the Germans by a nice margin. There we go, gun is repulsed, pushed back. But the north is looking very German still. And we're not seeing any medium armor as of yet. For the Germans, we still have... we do have taken the VonClausewitz. We got Schwer punted quarters up here for Doggy. But they're not going to want to push out the tanks first. I mean, Clausewitz doesn't have a support crop, whereas the Americans both have the tech up and can then actively begin pushing for Shermans. Most likely a regular Sherman, obviously for IlCapitano, the EC8 here for Speirs. Which could give the Germans a bit of issue depending how they handle the tanks. I mean, Lierneux, due to its topography, not all of the parts of the map is going to be amazing for tanks. Like north half of the map is going to be much more great for pushing through tanks because there's a lot fewer ways to just block them off. Whereas here, much fewer narrow roads, which just make it much easier to stall a single tank, to be honest. Plus pathings, give you issues. So, like if they push both the tanks from the north, they sort of swarm through, secure that, and push through here, maybe flank through that way, perhaps. They can do a lot of damage because they try to push the tank from the centre to the south. I think they're going to find themselves having a much rougher time. And there you go, a third fuel cache there from the Allies. That's 3 fuel caches. That is a lot of manpower being spent too, but of course that does mean they'll be getting a lot of fuel long term. So a bit of a bold strategy there, to be honest, by the Allies. Bit of a bold strategy. In the centre, going to secure the point here. Up north, right being held down by an MD-34. And we got the 50 caliber there moving in. Towed through the snow. There we go. Triple fuel cache out. Team losing control of both fuel points. In one fuel point, they're still getting more fuel point than the Germans. Now they still should probably work to get that back and maybe again to try and seize the north fuel point there away from the Huns. More Grenadiers out there for Clausewitz. Doggy's got a lot of infantry on the way. There's a bit of artillery to blast the armies. But, Captain Speirs, well, IlCapitano can't go for Sherman now. Captain Speirs is going to be a bit further off. Though if he cancels the reactions, you can actually go for the EC more or less now. Got White Phosphorus called in, most likely the machine gun. Yup. German position here by the southern victory point. Enveloped in a deadly, noxious white cloud. So, IlCapitano there going for a tank. Speirs can go for the EC8 very soon. If he's even sharp, he'll actually treat the captain just as supervisor to push it out, in which case you can get out EC8 very, very fast. So far, Captain Speirs not quite going there. We get air recons up for IlCapitano, very good. North side though, Doggy's just not facing a lot of resistance. I mean, it seems like they're just focusing a bit more on the centre-south. But if they're not careful, they could get ground down there. And they really, I think, should try and hit the Germans' fuel more often up north. They need to harass, they need to slow down the German tanks as much as possible. That way, gain the most advantage from having all these fuel caches. But they're not quite going there. Panzer going to do there. Eventually 2-8 kills, flame for after moving up. And no real again counters in the centre. Speirs, they're going for the EC8. IlCapitano, Sherman arrives on the field here for the 91st Infantry Division as it keeps sort of taking hits here from the 1 and 16th Panzer Division Lierneux troops that are being suppressed. And we still, of course, got the flak emplacement nearby. There's so far. It's actually gotten a kill. Impressive. Someone actually got him with the range. There you go. Rifle under fire from the flak emplacement. Nice. It's actually proving to be a worthwhile investment there for Doggy. But there you go. Sold up north runs a lot of issues. Tank is arriving, but it's not moving actually. Should be a bit faster with it. Should get it up there to support as much as possible the infantry, which is currently being ripped to shreds by the German infantry here. And now sending in the Sherman there without any infantry support, which button's going to be a lot less effective. In the centre there, we've got the E8 going here for this half track. Should be able to get it with its 76mm gun. Sherman moving in. We need to be careful though to committing too many tanks into the more urban centre of the town, because they're not going to be able to quite, let's say, flex their muscles as much. And they're going to be much easier to stop and hold, for example, again, near a street here. A lot harder just, you know, manoeuvre easily, and there you go. A lot of damage here. Smoke's being laid down, which is good. Even then, that could have been handled a bit better. And the north is really over. I think they also need to put pressure again. They want to hit that field point. They want to harass the Germans. So there we go. Got the first Panzer fight here from VonClausewitz. As for Doggy, you get go for Panzer IV. So enough. He could try to be a bit more risky, try and maybe a Panther out. But he's going for a second Raketen there for that. So the Americans are pushing back against the Germans, the Krauts. 116th Panzer Division doing what it can though for Deutschland. Onto the sweeping and engaging riflemen. Panzer IV moving in. And got some damage done. More troops moving in here, sweeping through the centre. Lots of Volksgrenadiers. Lots and lots of damage. Captain pushed back, the Ersons pushed back. Sherman opening up here on the Volksgrenadiers as they move out into the open here. And the South Panther goes here for the fuel cache. Lots of pack outs by Captain Speirs. Trying to silence the army artillery. There you go, he's here engaging the Panther IV. Shoots, penetrates Panther IV on the other hand. Panics and misses the Sherman. Both tanks this time around miss. In the centre, control being lost here to the Germans. The north is very much German as well. Despite having Rashford tanks, it seems like the Allies aren't quite getting the most out of their armour. Second attack here is trying to take out that fuel cache. VonClausewitz, of course, realises the importance of this, since that thing could easily add up to a lot of fuel. There you go. IlCapitano going for Priest. I'm not entirely sure if that's the best idea. I mean, the Germans aren't that dug in across a lot of the map here, so I think you're better off going for more Shermans or Jackson or Scott. I'm not entirely sure the Priest is going to be a worthwhile investment here for the Capitano. I mean, you might be better off just going for double mortar half tracks, to be honest. But we'll see. I could easily be proven wrong here. Fixing up the Panther IV, IlCapitano slightly dispatching more forces northwards, but still it's not that intense. Lieutenant out here for Captain Speirs, probably to replace the infantry loss he's suffered. I mean, he's down to a captain and a rifle squad otherwise. So good for him to get some replacement infantry out, even this lieutenant, which again is basically just a rifle squad, but better since it starts out with a BAR and a Thompson. E8 running some position we see in the south versus VonClausewitz armoured front in the centre. IlCapitano there standing about, and we got artillery firing now, getting ready to unleash hell against the Krauts. I think he's going to try and take out the Shroud Punter quarters in 9. Doggy, the option getting out more armour, and for that matter also Darden. Mines being laid down here, anticipating any push through there. Very good, very good. Captain Speirs sending his tank further down narrow roads. And not the best move to necessarily attack for, though again that's how the Germans caught the French off guard in 1940, and then of course caught the Americans off guard in 1944. But you know, while you can push through with it, it's not necessarily we want to be conducting armoured engagements. And that, I think, you know, it's a bit more dangerous part. Of course, to the extent VonClausewitz is doing the same, he is obviously, you know, that needs to be pointed out to him as well. But I'd say considering they will currently have an arm advantage, I think you're trying to use to push through the north, where again it's going to be much easier to get the most effect out of the Shermans. But instead, they're sort of splitting them up and then sort of staking them into positions where they don't, I think, necessarily perform as well as they can. There we go, mine goes off, almost taking out Captain Speirs easy. Ever skirmishing in between the houses between Doggy and IlCapitano. Grenades going off, barely dodged. Sherman moving down before taking hits as well. IlCapitano off some time from any other additional armor. American lines are scattered and a bit disoriented. Make sure that VonClausewitz leading a more coordinated counterattack to the south here with Grenadiers and a Panzer IV. Up north, IlCapitano is finally harassing the German fuel there. Very good, though I feel like could have been doing that more consistently and a bit sooner. You got Doggy there sending out a Panzer IV to deal with that, supported by some lighter infantry presence. And in the centre, Kedmov coming together, trying to ambush the priest. Oh, they're going to get away with it. Oh no, they didn't. Slightly messed up there for Doggy, but he almost took out IlCapitano's priest. That's very nasty. MG-34, they're coming in the centre, actually MG-42. Pioneers setting out to help repair the Panzer, secure and of course attack for Deutschland. In the north here, Panzer pushing through there, trying to take out the priest, and he got it. He actually got it. He took out IlCapitano's priest. Very nice attack there. Certainly highlights the danger there. IlCapitano focusing too much on the centre and forgetting about the north and screening it properly. Doggy there saw weakness and he attacked it. Very good play there by Doggy. Very good play. Very good tactical sense. In the south here, Captain finding out who the Grenadiers in the Panzer IV. Heavy losses being inflicted here by the Panzerkampfwagen and the Grenadiere. And IlCapitano's also got an artillery strike ready. I mean, you can sort of find the right target foot. It could be nasty here versus Doggy or VonClausewitz. He's moving up here. No additional armor for Captain Speirs. I mean, they're losing ground. They're not really pushing through effectively. And again, I feel like they're just not finding as efficient as they could here, the Allies. I mean, I'm still, I think, a proponent of them trying to just, take all the tanks and then push from the north again. Much more open. Much harder for the Germans to stop their tanks compared with in the south. We got banged and assault here by Doggy. Swarming through here. Mortar caught in a really bad spot, actually. Captain Speirs on the hunt for the Panzer IV. Rifle moving through there. Rearsen's moving through. Another priest on there you go. Panzer IV's getting encountered more or less immediately. Oh, scheisse. Didn't get the Panzer IV. Losses being inflicted. I think already there. IlCapitano lost one rifle squad. He's about to lose another one. He's not careful. Oh dear, casualties are piling up. I think the Americans are going to get a bit scattermounted up north here. Oh dear, looks like he's planning something here. But we got an MD-34 running to the lieutenant straight in front of the MD-34 to get suppressed. Oh dear, what a mess. In the centre point, being scored, mortar standing about here in the south, Sherman falling back. Speirs can soon go for another E6. Should probably do that. And IlCapitano definitely needs more armour. Fresh artillery barracks here to try and take out the Schwerpanzered quarters. I mean, it's not even that important right now. I mean, what's more important is grabbing the victory point and grabbing the northern field point. I mean, you should probably, again, not be going for the priest. Maybe a mortar half trip, but you should get more armor up so you can make a more consistent push to reclaim, or just claim in the first place, the north properly here from the Germans. So I definitely feel like the priests are a bit of a misjudgment. The Captain Speirs finally being able to go for a second tank here, a second EC8. Although I do still feel like he's a bit short on infantry. Still, south is once more American. And they got a lot of munitions, by the way. They could easily get away with a good artillery strike if they sort of time it correctly and doing some heavy damage to the Germans that way. Though IlCapitano could, of course, with the infantry company, consider laying down a bunch of mines. In the south point secured, rifle and 50 car, they're slowly pushing ahead. Panzer IV moving in. Going there for an attempt to run the rearsen's and does pull it off here. We got return vengeance here from the EC8. And Tiger tank up for VonClausewitz, 116th Panzer Division calling in the heavy armor rate to assist with the breakthrough through the American lines. Grenades being launched here. Fulton's pushing ahead. Up north here, the frontage remains a bit more scattered now. Though Doggy's still aggressively manning the front line of it, though he's actually losing the fuel point again. Capitano there, things getting better now, harassing it. Very good. Target sending in there more or less on its own. Only a single infantry squad to really support it. Getting a bit risky there from VonClausewitz. And overall, it seems like the Americans are still committing most of their armor to just static fighting in the center, which is, again, not really where I think they're going to do the best work. Tiger moving in, landing a good hit. Almost, there we go, got the machine gun, but he's almost lost his EC8 here. And he might end up losing it. No, he gets away with it. Really close there, though, really close there. Pretty risky play there by Captain Speirs and could have cost him a lot more than it actually did. Looks like IlCapitano built a replacement fuel cache for them on the south. They still got 3 fuel caches. Panther 4 target waiting in the south. Another machine gun give it on the way for VonClausewitz. Sherman there hanging about. What will IlCapitano go for next? And there go attacking here. The med ambulance and the troops nearby. Tiger shatters the ambulance. A single high-speed round lights it up. There you go. Tiger turns on the Sherman tank in the south here. EC8 moving in. 12 kills. Good hit there, good hit. Sherman down to half health. EC8 moving up in front though. Shoots, penetrates the Tiger's frontal armor. Clearly someone thinks he's Brad Pitt. Panther 4, and we got something out. It's a Stuckers first for Doggy, adding in some rocket artillery. Up north, oh dear, machine gun taking out, fuel caches in trouble. IlCapitano needs more defenses against this. And Speirs is falling back here. Damage engine didn't happen to the Tiger tank, forcing VonClausewitz to be less aggressive until you get that sorted out. I do believe the radiator was actually a bit of a weak spot on the Tiger tank. If I'm not fully incorrect there. Panther 4 though, eventually 12 kills. In the south point, they're being secured by VonClausewitz and his grenadier. Stuckers was unleashing hell. Rockets flying through, there we go. Getting off some absolutely nothing there actually. I got on the fuel cache and that's about it. Well, that and a shed. Reporters, if you're up, you have destroyed ein shed. I'm sure he will be overjoyed. Got the veteran EC8 moving out here for Captain Speirs. So raining up north here, Panther 4 folks moving about. And we got artillery fire raining down in the Speirs Panther quarters up north here for Doggy. IlCapitano is still very intent on taking it out. It really just feels like he's wasting his piece because he'd be doing so much more damage elsewhere. I mean, again, like the Speirs Panther core is not really directly, critical on the map, and while of course provides armor and such, I mean, he could just try and promote pressure on the tanks there, getting superiority that way, and just murder infantry. But instead, he's just wasting essentially not 1 but 2 houses just trying to take out that Speirs Panther core. I do feel like here IlCapitano might have lost sight of the battle with what he just wants to play. And of course, if he wants to play a priest, nice, but he should at least be using it better than he's doing it right now. I mean, it's just a waste of a priest. Another Telemann goes off there. Main gun out on the EC8, very good work there from VonClausewitz, moving ahead with the Tiger tank, almost trying to get the EC8 and misses. Calling in air support here, strafing around to help deal with infantry supporting the tanks. Panther 4 they hang about in the centre. Up north, to another attempt with the fuel pump, we got the Panther 4 moving in, and no anti-tank support for the rifle there to deal with it. Jackson's hanging back, and Sherman here getting ready to 2 is holding off the German infantry assault there. Got the Tiger tank there moving through the snow, engaging American targets with glee. EC8 misses through the smoke. There you go, Bazooka team moving out. Tiger tank already half 8 of XT2, doing quite a bit of good work there for VonClausewitz. For Germany. Hey Otto, yeah, why did the American Panzer cross the road? I don't know, to get away from the Tiger. Ho 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 ho. Line for gun hanging about there, Panther 4 there. Overall, Germans maintaining a decent line. Overall, part would say the issue is just the Americans never quite, I think, made sort of a good push into the north. Again, they just sort of focused on smaller scale engagements. which generally went in favour compared to just making a big push. Smoke here, air reconnaissance most likely in this case though, and we got another EC8 out here for Speirs, putting out 3 EC8s. Again, I think they were to just make a big push for the north. They could secure both the victory points, the fuel points, and then sort of sweep southwards, and I think do some damage there. I mean, they finally got the Schwer Panther's quarters, but now for the priest, like what's he going to be shooting at? 100 points left for the Americans, probably not looking good here for the 91st Infantry Division. Strugers was firing. You see it, they're still awaiting some engine repairs. Panzerwerfer out for VonClausewitz. Target defending the point here, Panzer IV defending the point there. You see it, they're spotted, Propagandacast need to fall back. A bit too close to the front line there, waiting for the infantry, not necessarily very efficient. There go another hit there. Close to half level, ready for the EC8. Up north, something's happening for IlCapitano, but overall the assault is so far progressing. It's not looking good. The tank was sending too far ahead, but I need support or screen. Easy target for the anti-tank defences. Lieutenant wrapping up north lane to east. We've got machine guns, Falchi makers moving up. Sherman now can't support because its main gun is out and mostly can throw down some smoke. Jackson can't help because, well, the Panzer's already falling back in the centre here. We see a smoke push here by VonClausewitz. And these seats are strong to defend due to the way the house sort of makes it a bit hard to shoot back there. And concentrate as far for that matter on the attackers. So this is just looking pretty awkward here for Captain Speirs and for IlCapitano. I mean, they technically got more armour than the Germans, but the problem is the way they're handling it, you wouldn't think it. They're not really trying to think to push for any advantage they might actually have. Which makes things a lot easier for the Germans to just defend the map with. A lot easier. Got the Panther ready there for VonClausewitz. For Deutschland. There we go, direct hit on the EC8 from the target tank, very close to T2, very close, moving ahead, EC8 opening up, shots bouncing, Panther in support, there we go, penetrating hit, air support called in here from Doggy, the Luftwaffe strikes, target super close to T2, increased rate of fire, not range I mean, and accuracy, misses the Yankee Panzer. Push there from Speirs' infantry, but his tanks are basically out for the count. And this is kind of looking like GG. Got the Shem rolling in. Pretty still overall feels like no match. He got the flank in place from which he gets to something. Going for the victory point on the north. Lots of rockets, lots of death. Push for the centre. Which isn't even going to achieve anything. I mean, there's no victory points and they need to get the victory points. There you go, Panther with barrage to break up that anyways pointless assault. Sherman sending out. Still being the third EC8, and there you go, GG, game over. Bloody loss for the Americans. The 91st Division suffered quite gravely here in the woods of Lierneux, where the Germans successfully pushed through. The Doggy was also suffering a bit of a brave beating there, but overall a bloody battle. And I think also highlighting just the importance of knowing where to employ your arm. I think the issue for the Americans was, I mean, again, in part the way they employed their arm was just not very effective. I think IlCapitano also was over-focused on the priest rather than just getting more tanks and overall getting an arm superiority with all those fuel caches, and then making a big sweeping push for the north that way, sweeping clear out, gaining control of the victory points and the fuel points, and they could threaten a lot of stuff, even flank the Germans in the village of town centre. Instead, they sort of sold just a tank here, and overall very unfocused, not very efficient, and that allowed the Germans to slowly wear them down. The fact of attrition slowly pushing through, then beating the Americans. Because the Americans were, I think, never really any point seriously focused, whereas the Germans generally sort of had, concentrated attacks here and there, and that overall just benefited a lot. That combined with just IlCapitano at times just ignoring the north, I think also did not do them any benefits. It also felt like at times like the Germans were just better coordinated than the Allies. more focused on that one, just voices just they get help up to each other. For the Americans, they said like they had to each their own part of the map and they refused to touch the other part, which I think also did not help. So I think part of the issue with this, it was just the Americans I think employed their armor weakly. Again, on a map like this, you kind of just want to like make a big sweeping push up from the north, gain ahead, and then that way trying to close off the town centre. Instead, it just tried to fight for everything at the same time, which just favoured the Germans. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. Also, a big thanks to Steel Sledge, to Orko, to Patrick, and to I can't remember the other name, but I'll make a mention of that in tomorrow's video. Thanks to all those for donating to support the Propagandacast. Remember, you too can also support me, allowing me to keep doing these videos. Links in the video description. This is Imperial signing off, and see you all tomorrow for another episode. Bye.